Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a Wednesday wealth, generational wealth class. I know I've been away. We have a lot of stuff to cover tonight. I had a great guest that's going to be coming on next week. But today we're going to talk about a whole lot of things, what's going on in our economy. I want to apologize. I've really missed talking to you guys in reference to generational wealth and how we can create wealth in our community. There's a lot to talk about. As I say, ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry is not coming. The creek is rose. The levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. We have to start betting on ourselves. And if you think that we can get to where we want to be by getting a handout from somebody else, guess what? I got something else for you. Once again, thank you for coming and being a part of Generational Wealth Wednesday at 6 o'clock. I do appreciate you going away. It seems like a month of Sundays that we have talked. It seems like we haven't been on the show in a while. Guess what we've been doing? We've been getting to 100 people buying homes. We've been doing a lot of seminars. We've just been really growing. You guys have really showed a lot of support, a tremendous amount of confidence in what we're doing here at Mac Capital Investment Group. And we just want to say thank you. And we got some stuff that we're going to be doing that's kind of good, and we're going to talk about it in this. But before we go any further, let's talk about what's going on in the news today. A couple of days ago, if you have not heard, you heard about the Equifax. They sent their information to 300,000 people had got false information about their credit on Equifax. I told you a long time ago, listen, we must pay attention to our credit. We must understand that a part of generational wealth, cash used to be king, but now we're in a situation to where we're living in a global economy. It's no longer just an isolated part of the world. You can get online today and purchase something from China, Japan, Iraq, Africa, and it's just so much out here with this internet. And credit is a big part of what is going to create generational wealth in our community. So we must understand that when we're talking about the Equifax breach or any type of information that you have given to these credit agencies and they misuse it or they get breached or is given out the wrong score, who do you think is going to affect? Guarantee is not affecting somebody who has over $1 million in assets. They are able to move money around very quickly. It's going to affect the people who don't have access. So we must understand that Calvary is not coming. The creek has rose, the levee has given way. It's up to us to save us. We must start to pay attention. I always tell people, listen, if you don't bet on yourself, then who will? I'll say it again. If you don't bet on yourself, then who will? Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. Start sharing this. It's going to be some information I'm going to cover tonight. I'm going to hit the real topics that's going to get us out of this rat race. I'm going to be back on the show. We're going to be on the show for a while here. I apologize for the absence, but you know what? It's time for us to get back to generational wealth. Share this with as many people as you can. We're going to be doing some great things. I'm going to talk about it later in the show, but we want to start off talking about Equifax. What does that mean when they say that they gave out your information to people who is not you, and they say it was breached, or if your credit score is not was sent to the wrong people with the wrong score? How is that tallied? What does that mean? So the first thing you must understand that there's other credit reporting agents out there, but the big three is Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Those are the big three. Okay. So when you're going to apply for a house, a car, or a credit card, or anything of that nature, those three are going to be gathering information and they're going to give you a score. Okay. And depending on what your score is going to dictate what your interest rate will be or the terms of the conditions, or even if they will extend credit. Also, I've seen in the past couple of years a lot of jobs. If you are an executive, they'll pull a report on you. They'll pull a credit report on you, and based upon your credit and how you pay your bills and what type of things you have going on your credit, that will indicate if you get the job or not. So it's not just something light that just happened. It is going to have a ripple effect in our community if we don't pay attention to what is going on and what's going on out there. It's not by accident. The cavalry is not coming. The creek has rose, the levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. So I always say this, listen, as much as we like material things, we must begin to understand that those material things have value to what we're purchasing. If we're going out and purchasing a lot of pants because it's the winter or whatever, somebody has to make those pants and somebody has to put them in their store. And when you go in and buy them, you're supporting it. Same thing is going on with your credit. If you're going out and you're not paying attention to what your credit score is, if you're not paying attention to what your credit is doing, who have access, then you're really missing the boat. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Equifax. I got a lot of articles. We're going to talk about that next week or the week after, okay? Because we have a great speaker that's coming on next week. But we must begin to talk about Equifax. The second thing that we have to start to talk about that we got to cover in our economy is the state of our economy. The second thing we must talk about, we understand that the credit is out there. We understand that people are the interest rates are starting to go up in the housing market, and people are starting to get a little jittery because every show that you turn on, everybody is saying we're in a depression or we're going to go into a recession, or the dollar is not moving as far. So let's talk about it. The state of our economy is this, okay? The state of our economy is this. For the past 10 or 11 years, we've been getting away from being producers. We're being more led to be consumers. And what does that mean is we are compulsive buyers. So that means that we don't think about strategically what we're buying. Hey, I see it, I want it, I went and got it. And we use a credit card to purchase it, which gives us no pain. So if I have to give my cash to go and purchase a product or a service, then I'm going to feel that a little bit more because I feel that weight leave in my back pocket, or I've worked for that $10 bill or whatever the case may be. But when we become credit card swipers, then what happens is I pay for that thing. They overdraft my account. I get charged $30 or $40 to overdraft my account. Then we just say, well, I'll pay it on my next pay stub, my next paycheck. And we don't even feel the pain. So that's important that we understand our spending habits when we're talking about generational wealth. Because if you don't never know that this cost me, I don't need this right now, let me take some time, let me see if this is going to come back cheaper, then this is where you become a consumer and you are a slave to what everything that's going on around you. You would be surprised on how many people actually come up to me and say, hey, I'm not going to purchase, or I'm not going to deal with you because you don't have this, or I don't purchase from them because I don't see them doing this. Now, I believe that you have to live what you're talking about. I do agree with that. But there's certain things that you don't have to do in order for you to be considered a success. I put it like this. I was speaking to an individual, and they were saying, well, Cepeda, I don't know if I can use your services because this is what I think that I need to see you're doing before I do anything. And I said to him, and I thought, before I could even catch myself, I said, listen, if you're dealing with a doctor that's working on your brain, right? Do you think that you need to see him work on his brain before he can do any work on your brain? And I said, see how that don't make sense? But what we do want to see is, are you qualified to do what you say that you're doing? Okay. And that is a whole different bag of worms. Is, are you qualified to do what you say that you're doing? So in our community, we have to qualify people that come in and utilize our services and goods that people sell to us. What do you mean by that, Cepeda? What are you talking about? For the past maybe couple years, a lot of the banks in our community have came in and treated us like cattle. And what they've done is, when they get caught or slapped on the wrist for something that they've done, redlining and things of that nature, what they traditionally do is they come out with these extraordinary uh, programs to help out our community. They'll say, "Hey, we got money for you guys to start a business, or we'll give you a no money down home." Well, that's what they were supposed to be doing from the beginning, is being there to service our community. But what they're doing is, they're doing that so that they can gain a foothold in our community. And then they say, hey, listen, we're not offering that program no more. And so now we're stuck, and we're used to that type of situation going on. So, what must our economy be doing? First of all, we must understand that we have to stop becoming consumers. We have to change the mindset of being a consumer. We must start to think like producers. I'll show you what I mean by that. A consumer says, I gotta have it impulsively. A producer says, listen, let me see how I can make that for myself. A consumer says, I need you to do this for me. A producer says, I'm going to do this for you. See, those are the mentalities that we must start to have in our community if we're going to have generational wealth. So that's why, if you're always a consumer, you never think about ownership. You never thinking about owning your own home. You never thinking about owning your own business. You never think about, how can I leave generational wealth for my kids and my kids' kids and their kids' kids, because you never thought about being a producer. As a man thinketh, so is he. So you have to think of yourself as being a producer instead of a consumer. So once again, we consume pop, we consume Coca Cola, we consume all of these things. But we never take out time to say, you know what, I need to start a pop company, or I need to start a lemonade company, or I need to start a CMOS company, or I need to start a computer company. See, when we start to think like that, then we can start to think of ownership. Okay. This is the state of our economy. A lot of people are saying that we are in a state, our nation, we're going into inflation. This is the second thing that they're getting us all riled up, talking about, is it going to be an inflation, or is it going to be a depression? And they're looking at the stock market, and indicating what the stock market is doing and what the treasury rate is doing. And as the interest rates are going up and the housing market is starting to cool down, let me let you know something. In business, it's called a business cycle. Okay. So that means that businesses, they'll go start doing well, then they'll cool off a little bit, then they'll pick back up, then they'll cool off again, then they'll go down a little bit, then they'll pick back up, then they'll keep going in a cycle. The market is just correcting itself. We've had a great run because of our politics. A lot of people, Democrat or Republican, a lot of people, Trump or not, a lot of people made a lot of money during the Trump administration when it was dealing with businesses. During the Obama administration, a lot of the social services made a whole lot of headway. A lot of people made a lot of money during those times. So what we must begin to do is understand that it's not a point of inflation or depression. It's a matter of the business model correcting itself. When we have those ultimate low interest rates, hedge funds, insurance companies, they were buying these houses. It wasn't the consumer. It was the big company. It was the hedge funds. So when we're talking about is this an inflation or a depression, it is a dog whistle to tell certain people to invest in the certain areas. A lot of people get filthy rich when people are suffering. I'll say it again. A lot of people get filthy rich when people are suffering. Most of the time, when we are going through a depression, it only means that a very few people have access to the capital. So if you did not take advantage, if you was listening to some of those guys that say cut up your credit cards, don't use your credit, all those type of things, watch what they did. I'm gonna tell you what they did. They went and got lines of credit waiting for the market to change. When those interest rates was at 2% and 3%, they went and got lines of credit. They went and got lines of credit off of their businesses. They went and got lines of credit off of their homes. While we were consumers and we were sleeping, they were out investing. And they was teaching their kids how to invest. They were starting businesses. They were starting startup companies. This is what we missed out on. And they got the banks to finance and bankroll their businesses and got lines of credit. So what happened? So let's talk about it. What really happened? So back in about 3 to 4 years ago, COVID happened. Then right before COVID, or a little bit after COVID, they came up with this program called PPP loans. Okay. So when you are a consumer and you have never had access to capital and they give you something that there's quote unquote that you don't have to pay back, and it's called stimulate the economy, guess what happened? A lot of us became so engaged and we wanted that 10 or 15, 30,000, $40,000. We got the PPP loan. But how much of that money that we got with the PPP loans that we really went and invested in our community? We spent those dollars outside of our community. So the PPP loans came, COVID came, we're still suffering. Home ownership is at an all-time high, but you didn't go out and buy a house. You know what you did? You went out and bought a car, and it helped the car industry, but the value of it went down. And as soon as you drove off that lot, that those dollars did not circulate in our community. The second thing you did, you went out and you purchased consumable goods. That means you went out, you purchased you a shirt, you purchased you some suits, you went and took some vacations. All of those things are consuming. When did we start to say, hey, I got a PPP loan of 30,000, somebody else got a PPP loan of 30,000, that's 60,000. We need to put that money together, get a line of credit off of it, and we're going to invest into this whatever. That was you being a producer instead of a consumer. So when you're talking about inflation, yes, inflation is high. What that means is that we have spent more money that we've taken in. And that leads to a depression. So I'm just keeping it very generic, very basic. I'm not going to get off into those terms that you don't understand. Inflation means, in this general term, you spending more money than you can actually, that is actually worth. That's what they've done, inflation. The dollar is going down. And a depression means there's nobody investing into the economy. Now we know that that's not true. If you look at around you, they're building everywhere. They have all type of startup companies that's coming in. Why aren't we doing that? Because they want you to sleep on what they're doing. So what they're doing, the interest rates are still low, ladies and gentlemen. You need to go out and purchase your home. If you're renting, you need to go purchase your home. If you have not started a business, you need to start one. You need to find a way to supplement your income. Now is the time where you need to do something for yourself. If you can't do it for yourself, get linked up with somebody that is trying to do it and you guys do it together. And if you can't find anybody, call us here at Bank Capital. We'll find somebody that will help you, that will be a perfect match for you and what you're trying to do. Jobs are plentiful now. I was driving down the street. There's signs out in front of every factory here in the United States where it's talking about people looking for jobs, people looking for $12, $15 an hour. People are, jobs are begging people to come back to work. Okay, so we must understand the cavalry is not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The creek is rose and the levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. So inflation is real, depression is real. They're going to come out and they're going to keep talking about that. Let me tell you how you can recession proof and depression proof your business, your family, and have generational wealth. One, buy real estate. Two, invest into yourself. Three, spend dollars in your community. That will stop you, that will insulate you from everything else around you. And stop being a consumer and start being a producer. Think about what you're getting ready to purchase it before you get ready to purchase it. I'm starting to say this. If you can't purchase it with cash and you have it on your credit card, then you might need to rethink, do you need to have that particular item right now? And if you do purchase that item, is it going to generate income for you, or is it something that's going to just satisfy you for temporary? If those are the questions that you need to start asking yourself when you start making purchases. Let's talk about the state of the housing market. As you all know, everybody's been talking about the housing market and how it has changed, how the interest rates are going up, how people are overpaying for properties. You know, back when we had the stock market crash, the banks lost a lot of money, right? So the banks got bailed out. So now they're making sure that the banks don't lose money. And a couple of weeks ago, we was talking to some realtors, and even in the housing market, there's some new terms that are coming out, which is called like gap. Gap is when you do a purchase agreement, right? And you agree to purchase a house for 100,000. And then the realtor tells you, hey, we're going to submit your highest and best offer. And then you actually made an offer for $120,000 on that piece of property, which is valued at $100,000. And you have to go to your 401k and pull out the 20. You have to pay the difference. That's called gap. Back in the day, we didn't have that. But now we're living in a new day. As the housing market starts to cool off, the prices are going to start to come down. So that $20,000 that you initially invested into that $100,000 house, now I'm not saying that the housing market is going to come down as far as you're going to lose your investment, but in certain areas, it is going to happen. It's not one shoe fit all. Okay. We must understand that we can no longer be consumers. We must start to be producers. Okay. That's the word of the day. I don't know. I don't want to be a consumer anymore. I want to be a producer. Okay. I don't want to go and work for somebody else. I want to work for myself. That's what the terminology that's out there now. But I'm telling you, get out of the habit of being a consumer. You can work for somebody else and still be a producer. Okay. You just got to invest, and you got to know what you're investing into. Okay. So what does that mean when you are a consumer? The state of the housing market is starting to get involved. People are saying, don't buy now. The interest rates are going up. Well, guess what? Interest rates was never going to stay at 2.99 or 3% or whatever it was at the lowest when it hit the lowest it would hit. It was never going to stay at that low of an interest rate. So as the market starts to correct itself, what should you do to have generational wealth? The first thing you need to do is become a homeowner. If you are a homeowner, if you're not a homeowner, that means that you're a renter, right? So if you are a renter, people who rent landlords who rent out houses, they're in the business to make money. So it's a simple equation. If you are a renter, the landlord who you're renting from, if he has a 5% or 6% interest rate on his rental property, he's not charging you 5%. He's going to charge you 9, 10, 11, 15 to 20%. Why? Because he's in the business to make money. So every time you pay rent, then you're building up his equity and you're losing because he's charging you money and he's making interest off of what you're doing. Now, I've rented before myself. That's not at all bad thing, but you got to start understanding what you're doing so that you can comprehend and make good business decisions in the future. The housing market is just correcting itself. That's all it is. Don't be so emotional about the housing market. It's going to correct itself. And when it corrects itself, only thing that's going to happen is the houses that you traditionally could not buy, you're just going to have to pay a little bit more for it. The cavalry is not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The creek is rose and the levee is given way. It's up to us to save us. We must begin to start reading what other people are saying and how we can actually become generational wealthy. Okay. The next point that we're going to talk about in this whole economic thing is the state of the housing market. And then we're going to talk about what must we do to get to generational wealth now. In the economy that we have, what must we do? What can I do in my situation so that we can have generational wealth for this generation, but also for the next generation? The first thing that you got to do is understand credit. Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian you should know what they are, what they represent, and what you can do to get your credit to a point to where you can make financial decisions and you are a buyer instead of a consumer. You're a producer instead of a consumer. The first thing you must do is understand your credit. The second thing you must do is come up with a business plan. Okay? Come up with a business plan. And I'm not meaning come up with this grandeur idea, but a business plan of saying this. This is what your business plan should say. One, I'm going to do this, this, and this to get to this. And this, and this is going to be my results that I want to see. This is it. Keep it very simple and very basic and very measurable. Keep a business plan. I didn't say what you want to accomplish, a goal, or anything. Come up with a plan to where you can evaluate where you're at in your process after you started. Okay. Then this third thing you got to do, surround yourself with people who are going in the same direction that you're going. I'll say it again. You must surround yourself with people who are going in the same direction that you're going. Everybody is not going to have generational wealth. Everybody is not going to do it. Everybody's not disciplined enough to do it. But you must begin to make up in your mind that this is something that I must do for not just for me, but for the next generation that comes after me. Okay? You must begin to understand that generational wealth is about being disciplined. In a nutshell, that's what it's about. It's being disciplined. Somebody has to sacrifice so that the next generation can have success and move forward and break the curse of poverty in our communities. Okay? The fifth thing that we must do, and I wanted to keep them very simple, fourth or fifth thing that you must do is celebrate your success. You're going to have people, when you start changing, you'll be surprised on how people will come around and say, well, you're thinking you're all of that, or you're not the same person. Well, guess what? I'm not. Poverty has a way of breaking you down. Wealth has a way of building you up. I'll say it again. Poverty has a way of breaking you down. People that are always negative, they surround themselves with negative people. That's just why they're negative. They never take out time to say, hey, I'm looking at this glass half empty, and that's what they want to surround. I want to look at this glass half empty. I'm looking at this glass half empty. I'm looking at this glass half empty. And if you have one person that says, hey, you know what? That same glass that you guys are looking at, that glass is half full. Those are the type of people that you want to go around, the ones who says, hey, this glass is half full. Because you are eventually going to start believing what you're hearing. So a lot of times we try to change things and we don't change the way we think, and we still think like a consumer. And let's look at the word consumer. The first is a two-part word. Con is the trick. Con, sum, to go to overwhelm or to take over. You. Con, I have to con myself to take over what I'm already doing. I'm being conned. So when you think about a producer, the word pro means to go forward. It means that you're the best. It means that you have opportunities. A professional athlete has opportunities. He's went forward, right? A programmer is putting stuff inside of a computer, programming. So you have to stop conning yourself and start programming yourself. You have to stop conning yourself and start programming yourself to have generational wealth. So, what is the con that everybody is talking about now? We're telling everybody that they're going into the depression. Don't buy stock. Whatever you're saying, it's all a con. If you're being conned, then that means that you are a consumer. If you are a producer, that means that you're not conned or you're not moved by what is going on around you because you set your environment. You're setting where your kids are going to go to school. You're setting that your kids are going to learn financial literacy. You're the one who's going to set what your kids and your kids' success ratio is going to be in the future. That's generational wealth. And you notice, I didn't put a price tag on it. You must understand that when you start to have generational wealth, there is no price tag on what you're doing. It's all about you becoming a producer, and that will create generational wealth for you. As we begin to go into this turbulent times in our economy, in our social environment, guess what? We must begin to bet on ourselves. The cavalry is not coming. The creek has rose. The levee has given way. It's up to us to save us. We have to start trusting the businesses in our community. We must start to, when you have a computer and your computer is not connecting to the mainframe, guess what? You have a black screen. And because that computer is not communicating, it's no longer any good for you. But it's a beautiful thing when your computer is connected with the main board. You can have shows like what we have. You can have images. You can have trainings. You can have anything that you can program that computer to do. But when you're not in a position to do any type of program and the only thing that you can do is consume, then that limits what you can do and it limits what your family can do. I always tell people, until you start betting on yourself, you really can't start to enhance your situation. There are many opportunities out here for us, but we must begin to bet on ourselves. The cavalry is not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The creek is rose and the levee is given way. It's up to us to save us. When we start to understand that concept and we start to become producers, then we can start to bring dollars in our community and make use of what we have access in our own community. I believe that we are living in a day and time where opportunities are at its all-time high. But we must begin to unlock the key to what it goes on in our community so we can have generational wealth. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry is not coming. The creek is rose. The levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. If you have a business in our community in the Indianapolis area, we're going to be at 9,000 Keystone and the Crossing on the 18th of August. That's 2 Thursdays from tomorrow. We want you to bring your business cards. We want you, it's a free event. We want you to come out ready to network. We want you to be in a position to where you can network with your people. We want to spend dollars with you. If you have a business and you need lines of credit and you don't know how to do certain things, you need to be at this event. We're going to be there networking. You're going to run into people who are thinking just like you. I told you earlier in the show, you must start to go around people who are going in the same direction that you're going. Secondly, if you are a renter and you came when we're coming out of the pandemic, COVID, and you have 2 years of employment, we can help you get into home ownership. You must begin to become a homeowner and stop renting. You must begin to bet on yourself. We're going to have lenders there. I'm going to be there. We're going to be able to get you approved, tell you how you can get approved, tell you about the different loan programs that's out there so that where you can take advantage of it, to where then you will be able to look at houses. I have investors that have houses that they fixed up, beautiful homes. We're going to be able to showcase those homes and you're going to be able to buy them. Once again, it's going to be August the 20th. The credit education class is going to be from 12 to 1, and then we're going to go break for an hour. From 2 to 4 is going to be the home ownership extravaganza. You must begin to become a homeowner. There's no way that you're going to talk about generational wealth if you don't talk about investing into yourself, betting on yourself, and becoming a homeowner. Yes, the interest rates are a little bit higher than they were, but they're not as high as they're still lower than what they once were. I remember when I first started in the business, interest rates were at 11.99 on a first mortgage with perfect credit. Now the interest rates are not as high. I mean, they're extremely low, and people are complaining about the interest rates going up. Oh man, I don't want to buy. I shouldn't want to buy right now because the interest rates are going up. No, go ahead and buy. It's too expensive for you to become a renter in this economy. It's too expensive. You have to begin to bet on yourself. Invest into what you're doing. Invest into yourself. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the people that saying inflation is going to be at an all-time high. We're ready to go into a depression and you can't buy nothing. No, that's not what a producer does. A producer says, listen, I'm going to produce in the midst of the famine. How can you produce? Find a trade that makes yourself user-friendly to where everybody else is, where everybody needs your services. There's a popular game that came out during the Great Depression. And we still play this game in multitudes today. I think Parker Brothers or Warner Brothers, they made this game. And the game was called Monopoly. And this game that we celebrate today came out of the Depression. It talked about how you can be in poverty over there on the blue property. utilities. It talked about the railroads or how you can buy utilities and buy stocks in utilities. It talked about uh, luck with the dice. Every time you roll the dice, you um, you begin to take a chance. And then they had the chance in community chess. Sometimes you can get lucky. But one of the things that I began to learn about the game of Monopoly, if you're going to win, you're going to have to purchase something and it's going to have to generate income for you if you're going to play the game of Monopoly and win. And then you had your higher end properties that if you hit them, you had to pay a whole lot more money, but it costs you a whole lot more to get. So what happens is somebody during the Depression understood that if you invest into yourself and if you purchase things for yourself, it will give you income and it will get you out of the situation that you're in. I love playing the game of Monopoly. When I was a kid, we used to have a great time with me and some of the friends, and we would play all night long. The game of Monopoly is a lot like the game of life. You're going to only get what you put into it. Yes, some of us have been dealt a bad hand, and some of us have never seen any type of money, any type of business. We don't have a coach. We don't have that person who has a strong foundation for us. Most of us don't have that. But what we do have is experience and a willingness to try and stand up for ourselves. And that's where I'm trying to get you to understand. The cavalry is not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The creek is rose, the levee is giving way. That is where you must begin to bet on yourself and make it happen. Yes, sometimes I would say when you're trying to start a business, sometimes times get hard. Sometimes you got to go without. But there's a word that I like to use: perseverance. Don't quit. Keep going. If Michael Jordan would have quit after he got cut, we would never know him today. Maybe you might be saying that, I've been dealt a bad hand and I can't do it. I'm saying that the hand that you were dealt was better than somebody else's, and the only thing you got to do is play the game. You might be saying, I'm not playing no more games. This is real for me. Guess what? It's real for everybody who's in the game. So either you're going to play it or you're not. The cavalry is not coming. The creek is rose. The levee is giving way. Next, on the 18th, we're going to have network night. If you're trying to start a business, come out, support, learn how to grab a business. 9,000 Keystone and the Crossing from 7 to 9. So you can get there a little bit earlier, from 6 to 9. You can get there a little bit early. Then if you are trying to buy a home, trying to buy a business, trying to understand credit, 12 to 1, you can learn all that you need to know about credit. Now, we're not going to take stuff off your credit. That's not what we do. What we're going to do is show you what's on your credit, how you can address your credit, how you can make your credit score go up, how you can personally take charge of your credit and understand what it does and what it means and what products and services that you can do. You change from being a consumer to a producer because now you're making educated decisions. Okay? And then later on at 2 to 4, same place, we're going to come back. We're going to try to get 100 people into homes by January, by December 31st. If you want to be a part of the movement, inbox me today. Inbox me on my Facebook Live. Also, we're on YouTube. If some of you guys don't do Facebook, we're on YouTube. Start liking us on YouTube. There's going to be an opportunity for you to become a part of the 700 Club, to where it doesn't matter if you got a 500 or 200 or 700 or 800 on your credit score. You need to be able to surround yourself with people who are thinking like you. There was an old saying that an older lady used to say to me, that if you don't need, in church, they say if you don't need Sunday school needs you. So if you don't need good credit, you need to show people how to get good credit. You need to learn how to make your credit work for you. Kim, she brought said to create generational wealth, become a homeowner. Yes, yes, that's definitely the number one thing. If you're gonna have generational wealth, you must, become a homeowner. My accountant, uh, who I've had for years, he said, "Hey, listen, Cepeda, everybody who is a millionaire, they have one thing in their portfolio, and that's real estate." Some people will say, well, no, buy stock. Why do the wealthy? Donald Trump, once you become a millionaire, what Kanye West, it doesn't matter who it is. If they're telling you that they don't have real estate, they're lying to you. Generational wealth comes when you start to buy real estate. Thank that for that comment, Kim. Okay, Kim gave us a lot of comments. It says con means to trick, pro means to create, to move forward. Yes, that's definitely. A lot of us are getting conned because they're telling us that the stock market is crashing. They're telling us that the depression is here. All of those things, because you are a consumer, you are getting a reaction out of. They're getting a reaction out of you to stop you from spending or to make you make a purchase that you really don't want to do, or you should purchase something, but you won't pull the trigger because you're thinking that the economy is going to do. Take the risk and bet on yourself. If you take the risk, what can you lose? What can you lose? But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen if you don't take the risk. You can lose an opportunity to know that, hey, listen, I didn't do my best. And to me, that's the tragic thing about not betting on yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry is not coming. I'm going to be bringing on some of the most dynamic people in our community next week. I have the number one trainer in the city that's dealing with health and you making your body whole again. He is going to teach us, and he's a trainer, bodybuilder. He's going to train us on how we can become better. And guess what? He has a lifestyle that is going to be better. He's going to teach us how to be better and how we can bet on ourselves. This is a guy, I'm not going to tell you his name. You're going to have to tune in next week to see who it is. But he is going to train us on how we can become better. I was so impressed with him until I made him my personal trainer. He's going to get this body in tip top shape, and you're going to see a transformation right before your eyes, because this is what we do when we bet on ourselves. There's nothing more important than knowing that generational wealth is being able to do what you say that you desire to do, and no longer will you accept that, I can't do something. I'm telling you that when you begin to bet on yourself, you're going to create opportunities for other people around you. Later, for you just betting on yourself and then only you benefit. Those who really are wealthy, they bet on themselves and they make people around them better. Yes, you have some people who are very selfish and they're going to brag about what they have. Those people are 2, 3 steps away from being broke. But when you create generational wealth, the people around you receive some benefits. So once again, we're going to bring on the number one trainer here in the city next week. He is going to teach us. I'm using him as my personal trainer myself. I was so impressed. And he has a testimony about his journey on how he got to where he's at. He has a $100,000 idea that he put in paper, and guess what? It's starting to come to pass. And I'm just glad that I was able to meet him. He is really phenomenal. He has a lot of followers. He has the whole nine. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are trying to get in shape and you're trying to get your body to a point to where you feel comfortable with yourself, tune in next week. We're going to talk about how we can do better in our community through exercise, healthy eating, and betting on ourselves. I believe that when we begin to take care of our bodies, we begin to take care of our finances. I'll say it again. When we begin to take care of our bodies, we'll start taking care of our finances. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking to purchase a home next 2 Saturdays from today, the 20th, you can come out, learn how to purchase a home, get involved in home ownership, be a part of the movement. If you need credit, be there at 12 to 1. We're going to be able to walk you step by step of what you need to do, what affects your credit, how you can get your credit score to be increased. We're going to be there. It's up to us to save us. The cavalry is not coming. The creek is rose. The levee is giving way. You have to bet on yourself. Share this with some people next week. Share it, share it, share it. Get your kids together. Get your family together. If you love anyone that you truly love, you're going to share this and bring them to the show next week, because next week we're going to talk about credit. We're going to have a guy that's on our show that's going to tell us how he was able to overcome every obstacle known to him and become a trainer, training celebrities, people in our community. He's been on the news here in the city. He is really a phenomenal trainer, and we're going to bring him on our show. We thank you. Next week, keep betting on yourself. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the cavalry is not coming. The creek is rose. The levee is giving way. It's up to us to save us. There's no other way around it. The cavalry is not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The cavalry is rose. The creek is rose. Cavalry is not coming. It's time to you to bet on yourself. Till next week, keep betting on yourself. And remember, the cavalry is not coming. The creek and rose. The levee is giving way. It's up to you to save you. Once again, till next week, keep betting on yourself.